again, this is Marie for Rebel Media. Starting off with the previous matches we had going on last weekend. I'm just going to give you a brief overview. We had Rebels hosting Razorbacks, 17-41. Gold Diggers over Hurricanes, 178-0. Towers over Tigers, 27-7. Well, Johan, actually, the one thing I really want to get into is like Gold Diggers over Hurricanes. So just like damn.
Okay.
I mean that is a huge score. I mean, what happened in that game that it was that huge a difference between those two teams?
Well, it's. I had mentioned before that they're kind of in two different directions right now.
Yeah.
And last week, and it's evident of that by the final score. The Gold Diggers have been in the finals also in the last 5 years, and they're one of the top teams in the league. And the Hurricanes are still trying to build a program. They're their second year in the National League. So they're trying to build a program to be where the Gold Diggers are at. So they're going to have some growing pains as they're going through that process when they take on the top teams like the Gold Diggers. So that's probably a big factor of what happened with that game.
Well, just as different as a team, actually, like just structure-wise, I would say was Razorbacks and Rebels.
Okay.
I would see them as totally different teams, just the way they build up. How do you look at that? Like seeing like Razorbacks actually got all those imports and Rebels do not.
Well, their format for what they're trying to build and how they're building things are different than how the Rebels are trying to build things. And each club will try to build things differently. Their formula for their success has been successful for them. That's why they've won 5 championships. That's their big thing, is first to 5, and they've done that. Here with the Rebels, we're trying to build something that's more just within homegrown players and basically develop the program as a whole. And I think that they're doing the same way. It's just the process in which they're doing it is differently than how we're doing it. And they're seeing the immediate results, where I think ours is probably going to take a little bit more time, and that's fine. And at the end of the day, both teams hopefully will get there and compete against each other more and more.
So anybody from the Rebel team you anyways want to highlight at this point from the last match?
Sure. Morton Forsberg, the quarterback, he actually improved in his game from the week before against the Swans. Was much more accurate in what he needed to do and made his proper read progressions a lot more efficiently. So that was a big bonus for us. We also got Thomas Fear into the game a lot more, which he was also an ex-Razorback. So he was with them last year. And we got him into the offensive system a little bit, and a lot more actually. And those were a couple of things that really helped us move the ball down the field when we were actually on the field with the offense. So those things will continue to develop as we go from there.
So if you take a look at Razorbacks instead, that definitely is Jeffrey Lewis.
Sure. He coming into the game, I said he was going to be a factor of a guy that can, put the game on his shoulders and carry him. He's a guy that could score points for him anytime, and he's a guy that's going to finish out games. He had well over 200 yards in the afternoon with 3 touchdowns. Us defensively, from a defensive perspective, we didn't do enough to contain him, and he's a guy that will capitalize on every opportunity and was shown in the game. He had a great day. It was good for him. The quarterback also probably had a laid-back day because of that. So he was 10 to 15 on the afternoon, so he didn't really have to carry the load because Jeffrey had carried the load for him all afternoon, and he had a great day. So you stop him, and that kind of makes it kind of a little bit different ballgame. But we didn't do a great job at that at all.
Yeah, and what about anybody else you would like to highlight from the Razorbacks?
Thomas Lindemann also had a fairly good game for them. He made a couple of key catches to continue drives, and he only had a couple of catches on the day, and they generally feature him a lot more. But his catches, when he actually did receive the ball, were instrumental in continuing drives for them that turned out to be scores for them. So I would say he's a person that we also have to mention that he had a fine day himself. And also Desmond Anderson, who killed us on a kick return, kind of muffed the ball, thought he was going to get tackled for no gain or limited gain, and he took it right to the house. And it kind of, that was a good return for them and a bad one for us. So that happens.
Standing here with Desmond Anderson, safety player from Razorbacks. So that was quite a touchdown. Well, congrats on that one.
Thank you.
It was amazing. I mean, you just like went up there. How did that feel?
It felt good. At first I was scared. I dropped the ball and I just tried to make something happen and made a couple cuts. I had some good blocks. And then I let my speed take me the rest of the way.
Yeah, sure. Congrats with the game anyway,
Thank
you
you.
won. How did you perceive the game? How do you think?
I think we did a good job as a team, and they also did a good job. They came out strong. They stopped us on a couple drives, and they got a couple first downs early. So we had to fight early, and once we got a lead, we just tried to keep fighting to keep the lead. So it was a pretty good game on both sides. A lot of hard hits, a lot of good plays. So when we play them again, it's probably going to be another good game.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Kenny, so how did you perceive the game? Are you
Well,
satisfied?
we're happy with the game. I mean, we came out of the gate strong today, and I thought it was they played hard and they did a good job. But we took care of what we had to and ran the ball effectively. And in the passing game, we made some big plays. So I was happy with the overall performance of both offense and defense.
Yeah, sure. It was a nice play from your Well, I'm like any surprising moments, but from your team or from the
Surprising
other team?
moments!
Yeah.
Surprising moments from their team, not running out the clock at the end of the game. I was a little bit disappointed in that, and so were our players, and they let them know verbally. But that's going to happen any time you don't do the classes move.
Yeah.
So we were a little bit disappointed in that, but we know that we're a superior team than the Rebels, so we don't have a problem with that.
Sure. And like in the big picture, what's the aim for this upcoming season?
Oh, it's always the same aim.
Going for
Number 6, six Mermaid Bowl title. It's always the same when we start the beginning of the year. So we're looking forward to a good run at the title, and there's some good teams up there in the National League right now, the Towers and the Gold Diggers. So we're looking forward to a very competitive year.
Peter, hvad synes du selv, sådan, hvordan er spillet går? Er der sådan nogle highlights, du kan nævne, eller sådan nogle...
Altså på den defensive side, så synes jeg, at helt klart vores defensive linje skal nævnes. De penetrerer rigtig godt, og de ligger rigtig godt pres på quarterbacken. På den offense kan vi sige, at vi kan bevæge bolden, og vi har masser af gode spillere, og vi har dygtige spillere. Vi mangler bare lige de sidste millimeter til at få det hele til at gå op i en højere enhed.
Ja, altså nu har jeg jo set kampen, og jeg synes, nogle gange så skal der bare noget psykisk ved jer. Sådan, der er bare et eller andet op i hovedet. Men det virker bare til, i de sidste 5 minutter, så fik I den er blokade i hal, så var den ned igen, og så gav den bare fuld gas. Hvad var det, der skete der?
Men jeg tror også, det er en frustration af, at vi kan se, hvordan det er, vi spiller til træning. Vi ved, hvordan vores evner de er. Vi ved, hvor dygtige spillere vi har, og hvad vi kunne, hvis det var, vi præsterede på den måde, som vi burde. Så jeg tror, det er de frustrationer, der er et kæmpe problem. Men det er et stort problem, at vi ikke holder hovedet i kampen og forholder os positivt til det, der foregår på banen. Men så til sidst, så kan man sige, så begynder vi bare at spille frit og slappe af og sige, nej, altså, what the fuck, altså, vi er alligevel bagud, vi er alligevel tabt. Så må vi bare,
og så lige pludselig kører det bare.
Spille, ja, og så kører det, og så spiller vi på den måde, som vi kan spille, og det er jo dejligt, at så ved vi ligesom, hvad vi skal arbejde på.
Ja, helt sikkert. Og så nu med hensyn til Razorbacks, hvad synes du om deres kamp?
Altså, det er jo et dygtigt hold, altså, de har nogle rigtig dygtige import, synes jeg.
Men det er jo netop også det, altså det er jo to meget forskellige hold, så derfor
vi
har også så mange import. Ja. Så hvordan ser du det?
Jamen altså, vi kan sige, vi spiller jo et spread offense, hvor det går hurtigt, og vi har mange små kastespillere. Det er sådan ligesom det, vi overlever på med danske spillere, det virkelig er rigtig flot, og som tænker på, at vi har en dansk quarterback, som har kæmpe potentiale og er sindssygt dygtig. Så det er jo helt andet, når man ser i forhold til dem, hvor de har nogle rigtig gode brækker, de går rykke med. Altså, de har også dygtige danske profiler, deres running back, de Filudis er jo helt vanvittigt dygtige, vi har også problemer med i dag. Men samtidig med par det sammen med en udenlandsk, altså en amerikansk quarterback og en amerikansk D-line og en amerikansk D-back, så har du altså et rimelig potent hold. Ikke? Men de er dygtige, altså det skal man slet ikke tage fra dem. Altså den her sejr her, de løber os over, så det var helt fair.
Ja.
Men jeg synes, vi kunne spille op med dem. Det var bare de sidste millimeter.
Som dig selv, hvad vil du gerne tage med fra den her kamp til næste kamp?
Til næste kamp? Men altså sådan mål, og nu fokuserer jeg hovedsageligt på offense. Jeg har jo helt klart 2 meget specifikke mål, der skal hedde, at vi skal eksekvere bedre. Simpelthen afslutte vores drives og få nogle point på tavlen. Og så skal vi kunne holde hovedet koldt i de pressede situationer. Fordi vi er et sindssygt dygtigt hold. Masser af potentiale, ungt hold.
Ja.
Så der er masser at komme efter.
Alright, so let's take a look instead at this week's matchups.
Okay.
We have Swans and Stallions coming.
Okay.
Stallions being a completely new team in the league this year. How do you see those two teams in comparison?
Well, the Swans has been in the league for 2 years now. We faced the Swans, and their quarterback Jakob is going to throw the ball. And they're going to get that ball out there as fast as they can. So I think that their experience of being in the NL is going to help them a lot. The Steins are, growing. They've got some players, from what I understand, and they'll try to pound the ball on them a little bit. But I think at the end of the day, I think the Swans will probably have the advantage because of how they throw the ball on them. They'll zip it everywhere. And a team moving up is not used to actually dealing with pass coverage as much as they're going to have to, and also I think that might be a factor for them.
Yeah, but one name that recently really came up was one of our smallest in the league, Steen Iversen.
Okay.
Like 2 interceptions against 89ers.
Okay.
Do you think there are going to be those surprising moments anyways, as well from his side?
Sure. They have players, otherwise they wouldn't be in the NL. So I'm sure that he'll continue his success, and if he's a young, talented guy, watch out, since they throw the balls a lot. He's got probably an opportunity to get another interception in this game, and all he has to do is capitalize on it if it's there. So he seems like a player that is doing that, and so I wouldn't be surprised if he does that against the Swans.
Well, then Sunday we have 2 other matches coming up. One of them is 89ers versus Hurricanes.
Okay.
Sunday at 12 o'clock. For the Hurricanes, it's the second year being in the league. Where do you see them in comparison to the 89ers that simply have this whole attitude of all or nothing? They want to go all in. Where do you see Hurricanes? Where do you see them in the league at the moment?
That matchup is actually probably a pretty interesting matchup. The 89ers in some ways are rebuilding. They lost some players to the States. They're playing college football in the States, which is great for the program when they come back, but right now they're kind of hurting from it. They lost a linebacker that went to the Tigers. So there's a few issues that they have in that department. They also lost one of their other players who's now coaching for them. So some of their key players they've had in the past aren't there anymore, and they're finding their identity now without those players. And the Hurricanes are a team that's kind of a big, tough team that's going to try to run over people with their offense. So this could be actually a really interesting matchup, and I think it's a good indicator to see where both teams are. They have skill positions, the 89ers, and the quarterback, Casper Skirm, he's a good quarterback, and the Hurricanes have a good quarterback as well. So it should be very interesting to see that matchup, even though I think at the end of the day it might turn out to be one team passing more with the 89ers and the Hurricanes probably running more. But it should be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. It's like one of the games coming up we're also really looking forward to, because I think it's going to be exciting as well. It's like Gold Diggers versus Towers.
Sure.
What you got to say about that one?
Well, that's the matchup of the weekend. It would be surprising if there weren't a lot of people to attend that game, because that's the battle for the first place in that conference. During the regular season last year, the Towers won both games, only to lose in the semifinals against the Gold Diggers. So there's a lot of rivalry there. You expect for them to be very physical on both sides of the ball from both teams, and I would expect to see Casper for the Towers to run and do his thing, and Soren and Jonas Bo from the Diggers to do their thing, and JR and Zach Shaw to kind of throw around. So it should be a very interesting game. I think it'll come down to which defense makes a mistake first, because I think both offenses might move the ball fairly well, and it's just a question of which defense will bow up and do what they need to do to help the offenses out to win the field position. So.
Definitely. Well, as you can see, folks, an Ask Kicking weekend is coming up, so stay tuned. We're going to see each other again to the post-game wrap-ups, talking about what actually happened and how everything turned out. So I see you there.